Yeah, thanks very much. It's great to be here. Really exciting to talk about the digital Silk Road at the Mubadala Stage, because on one side, most recent 10 years as CIC Managing Director, I have made many friends with Mubadala counterparts, and for my adjunct professor class on sovereign funds regulations at NYU, Mubadala people kindly came as guest speakers and also sponsored a reception for the students. Of course, not as this kind of scale, but good enough to make the New York University students happy with some wine and drinks. And on the other hand, right, for Digital Silk Road, actually UAE is one of the early group of countries that signed Digital Silk Road agreement with China. So what is Digital Silk Road? To start, let's with a little bit of a quick question. I almost revealed the answer. What is the most celebrated holiday by Chinese at home and abroad? Of course, it's a tricky question. It's not the Chinese New Year, right? Actually, it's the Singles Day. Perfect. But you answered 2 seconds late.
In one day, bigger than the e-commerce market of the whole Middle East.
Oh my God, you read my book. Terrific. Yeah, but truly, it is a big event. For this year, it makes another record. It just took 2 minutes, right? The trading volume reached 10 billion Chinese renminbi, which is more than 1.5 billion US dollars. And of course, many of you will say, yes, that's the story of the digitally connected middle class. Yes, but that's only half of the story, because it is also a global shopping festival. In fact, for 2019 Singles Day, sellers, buyers, merchandisers, vendors from more than 200 countries joined this 24-hour extravaganza. Don't ask me about Chinese currency, US dollar conversion question, but for the 24 hours, the GMV, general merchandise volume, was translated to $38 billion US dollars. Okay, that's, as you said, sir, more than the combined Cyber Monday and Black Friday, right? But this is the surface. What's behind the scene is probably the biggest logistics headache in human history, because it's really hard, right, to transfer $38 billion worth of trades across continents within 24 hours. So what's behind the scene is the Singles Day become more and more technology driven. Actually, all the e-commerce companies not only focus on the transaction side, but also put a lot more focus to use the digital technology, including AI, machine learning, satellite data, smart warehouse, digital inventory system, just to figure out what's the best and most efficient way to handle this distribution. And this story of Singles Day, cross-border e-commerce plus smart cross-continental infrastructure is the story of the Digital Silk Road. Now, what's the connection with the much better known One Belt and Road? The answer is this is the digital version of the One Belt and Road. And for people in the room, who honestly can say, what the road and the belt is? Sir, you want to continue your winning streak?
What's the prize?
Yeah. What is the belt? What is the road?
I know the road, I don't know the belt, unfortunately.
Oh, very honest. Yes. Yeah. Because even in China, it's very confusing. Actually, if you look at the map, right, the top is the belt. It's called Silk Road Economic Belt, from China into Kazakhstan, into Middle East, into Europe, all the way to Spain, Netherlands, UK, right? And then the road actually is maritime. It's across the sea, from the north side, from China, Southeast Asia, getting to Indian Ocean, passing the Suez Canal, getting into Mediterranean, back to Europe again, right? It's called 21st century Silk Road, maritime Silk Road. And you may have the question, why the road and the belt has such different answers, different names. All I can say is, in China, this meant to be very profound. So you just have to understand this. Now the third prong of this Belt and Road, which is the digital Silk Road. And if you think about it, it's even more significant because first, it's become much bigger, right? Because it's more than Eurasia. In cyberspace, if you have connection, you are connected. And number two, it's more related to the new economy. The Belt Road gives you this perception of huge network of enormous physical infrastructures, roads, railways, reservoirs, energy pipelines, ports, so on and so forth, right? But for the digital Silk Road, it's more about the digital ecosystem. And it's even more than the digital infrastructure because beyond the basic connectivities, you also get into the new smart devices, and more importantly, you get into this new digital ecosystem of transaction based on data and virtual transactions, right? So it's more profound, and actually this flow of thoughts has been covered in my recent several books, right? 2016 titled China's Mobile Economy, that was at the peak of the mobile internet expansion. 2017, the book title became Digital Economy with lots of updates because the focus shifts from mobile internet into more digital technology-driven new model, right? And 2018, the German English version, Digital Silk Road, covers more about the expansion aspect, the overseas aspect of Chinese e-commerce expansion. And just last week in Tokyo, I released a new book in Japanese version first, and then English version. And new title is China's Data Economy, because now the focus, right, is about big data, data analytics, AI, so on and so forth. And the Japan, for people in the room who understand Japanese, at least who do not, right? At least you can see the AI word there. And the book design is very Japanese style, very colorful, because the top, they put this title, 1.4 billion people digital economy. But why digital Silk Road is so important? I would say several things. Number one, just the basic connectivity. In China, right, everyone has this perception that China puts a lot of focus on infrastructure development, but we are still working on this internet connectivity. So I want someone to guess, in China, what's the percentage of internet penetration? What percentage people have internet connectivity in China? Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, you got it, yes. Did that surprise you? Right? Yeah. Okay.
In China, so you have rural and you have non-rural.
Okay, you almost gave me a heart attack because. Oh, okay, yeah. We have to be very careful about words to China, but but you could say, you have the connected ones and the not connected ones. But you were surprised to the extent that globally, right, 2019 is the first year that the world reached more than 50% internet connectivity. So which means there's 3 billion people do not have internet connectivity. And it's always surprised people that even in China, with so much connectivity, with Alibaba stories every day headline, actually you have 600 million people, 600 million people do not have basic internet connectivity, right? So globally, you can imagine the scale of this issue, right? So therefore, it's very alarming when you think about the future growth model. In China, this growth of penetration rate did not go up in recent years because the rural areas actually the rural areas penetration rate is coming down. It's coming down because when you get to remote places, infrastructure costs become even higher, right? So this is a huge, huge issue that when you have this digital gap, actually it's widening due to infrastructure costs. For this, Digital Silk Road is this concept, right, or this mindset to bring more people into the ecosystem, and for e-commerce, this will bring in the next billion users. Now, in China, among all the provinces, actually Tibet leads all the provinces in mobile payment adoption. It's a bit counterintuitive, but when you think about it, right, it's very natural. In places without traditional infrastructures, mobile e-commerce, a very good solution. And also, it generates new industries because more and more Chinese become first-time content consumers, not just everyday goods consumers. Right? Actually, online novels in China are produced by installments, which fits very well with mobile payments for small, frequent payments. So that generates a huge new industry. Online novels become the source of videos, gamings, and movies. And more importantly, as I talk about old economy and a new economy, the digital Silk Road will generate new jobs from the new economy, right? In China, many places with internet and digital support, farmers become online retailers. Actually, it's very easy to start a business, right? All they need is 20 square meters, some used computer, basic internet connectivities, and they start selling stuff. And in fact, there are many villages have the farmers, as majority, working on Taobao, which is the name of the website of Alibaba. And for that, they are called the Taobao villages. But more and more importantly, is about innovation, right? It's about innovation. How do we use the digital connectivity to drive more innovation? When you think about this digital Silk Road, this cross-country network, actually it generates a huge ecosystem for entrepreneurs come from more remote, smaller markets, right? If you think about the Singles Day, small brands gets a chance to participate in $38 billion one-day sales festival, right? And on the hardware side, you also see a global supply chain, right? Helps innovators to develop their businesses. Here is the example of the Indian smartphones, right? The local entrepreneurs got the inspiration from Xiaomi, the China brand that goes into India. They come up with their local versions, for example, putting in 10 plus local dialects. That's something Chinese manufacturers cannot do. However, for lots of the components, they also source them from the China market. And even more exciting, right, is where you see joint research on next generation digital technology, people working together to deal with the same challenges to us, right? This is really, really promising area in a time that technology, data, and AI are issues of geo-tech issues, right? But we should be optimistic that if we work together, if we keep the mindset of connectivity, we will be able to work on cutting-edge research together and develop solutions for humankind altogether. And when we move from digital Silk Road concept into investment world, because that's what a SALT conference is about, I would suggest the smart cities, the smart city projects will be a perfect place to look into. And actually, the smart city concept combines all the topics we covered, this conference covered this morning, right? Sovereign capital, long-term investing, ESG impact investing, so on, right? Because going forward, the smart cities will be the center, right, of capital, talents, applications, data, research, network, everything, right? And here, as I come to the end of the discussion, I would suggest as we making these investments together, we get to the most important part of the digital Silk Road, which is to develop a cyberspace new governance framework for the world. Because right now, every country is very focused on digital investments, right? But at the same time, because data is related to the oil of the new century, which, by the way, I don't agree, it also be viewed as a national treasury. So there's a huge tension between digital technology development and cross-border cooperation, right? And without a global data cyberspace framework, new governance system, the tension will escalate, and we will go back to the time before globalization. So as I think about these investments, it will be a start for global conversation about how we deal with cross-border data flow and how we deal with sharing future technology development. Part of the reason I published my book this year in Japan is because back in May, the G20 Osaka, at the G20 Osaka, Japan, Abe Prime Minister launched this Osaka track of DFFT, which is called Data Free Flow with Trust, right? Starting with the G20 context. And if you read the Japanese side, it says, Osaka de sekai no mirai o tsukuru. That means in Osaka, we are making the future of the world. And this is quite an ambitious goal for Japan. But it really makes sense when you say, we are going into a complete new cyberspace-driven world going forward. So whatever the new governance we create, maybe a digital version of the WTO or something like that, or maybe it's not called the Digital Silk Road. In Japan, it's called the DFFT, Data Free Flow with Trust. But no matter what you think about this, right, this is the start of a new world. Because as we work together, right, we're not only investing for the next generation technology, we're investing in a shared digital future. And I think that's why Digital Silk Road is so important. Because no matter how you call it, this relates to the future of all of us and the generation to come. So therefore, I do not consider Digital Silk Road as just a policy initiative. I consider it an important mindset that we should all have as we go into the next generation digital economy together. Thank you very much for having me at the presentation here. Thank you.